I've played 580 hours of Valheim. I played through the game multiple times at launch, vanilla, later on played it with some mods. I've played through the game solo and with friends. And whenever anyone would ask me, hey, do you have a game you can recommend? Or I'm looking for a survival game to play, which one would you recommend? My first question would always be, have you played Valheim? And I would recommend it to anyone. Up to that point, or at launch, I can confidently say that Valheim was the best survival game ever created. It was my favorite survival game up to that point. At launch, it came with 5 fully unique biomes, each with its own boss, enemies, resources. They all looked unique and felt unique. And the progression from the meadows through the plains just felt like it was perfect. There was always a slight difficulty increase, but never anything so crazy that it would just completely stop you from progressing. It just felt just right. Each biome would have maybe one elite enemy, like the Black Forest having the trolls, which would be a slight hurdle you would have to deal with, but you would always be able to overcome them and get to the next biome, take on the next boss, and keep on moving. And had Valheim at launch just said, if that was just the fully complete game, and they were like, this game's it, it's done, I would have been perfectly happy with that. The game launched with probably at least 100 hours of content, depending on if you were playing solo or with friends, depending on your luck of finding the different boss spawns and finding the resources needed to spawn the bosses. You could get at least 100 hours out of the game. I used to say 50 to 100, but it's probably 100, especially if you take time to build. But a lot's changed since launch, and there's only been a couple major updates with some minor ones in between. And because the updates were coming so slow, I took a break from the game and didn't even come back for the Hearth and Home update, which added a bunch of building stuff. I didn't come back until a little bit after the Mistlands update, and decided I'm going to start a new save, and I'll get to the Mistlands, and my experience, once again, up through the plains was great. I was having a ton of fun, and I was only in the Mistlands for probably 10 or 15 minutes the first time when I just realized this isn't the same game I've been playing up to this point. It felt like a completely different game. It felt like someone else made this game. It did not feel like Valheim. It was completely different than everything up to that point. The difficulty spike was massive. The biome was just not fun to run around in and not fun to explore. Finding all the summoning resources for the boss was a torturous adventure the first time. Going through, I don't know, a dozen of the dungeons just to find enough to spawn the boss in one time. And then the boss fight itself was super challenging compared to all the previous bosses. But, I said, okay, maybe it's just a one-off. It's one biome. I know I'm not alone because other people kind of said they didn't like it either. That's fine. It's got 5 really good biomes. One's not so great. So I'll just chalk that up to everybody has a bad day, right? So recently I decided to come back to the game because I hadn't played the Ashlands. But leading up to that, I watched some other people playing through the game, and whenever they would get to the Ashlands, I would listen to what they were saying. Like, I'd have their stream up or a video up, but I would block it so I couldn't see what was going on because I didn't want to spoil everything that was going on, everything that was new that I hadn't seen. And every single one of them was just miserable. And it seemed like it was even worse than the Mistlands. So now it was like we're 0 for 2. 5 for 5 to start, and then 0 for 2 after that. So I saw the Call to Arms update was coming out, and I said, I've not played the Ashlands myself. Let me play through the game and get to it. The Call to Arms update overhauled combat, which was something that was much needed. Added some new stuff to the game. They were like, oh, we added bears to the Black Forest, and I was like, that's cool. There's something new in one of the early biomes. Now they had added other stuff, like they added the Bog Witch to the swamp. They added Hilder to the plains, and I was like, okay, so here's something new inside of the Black Forest, which I have no idea. It's a bear. I mean, maybe it's equal to a troll, maybe it's easier, I'm not sure. So I started to save on the public test for the Call to Arms, and spent quite a bit of time in the meadows. And I was reading other people's feedback about the update, and the one thing that just stood out as being very common was the bears feel like they're too strong. And I was like, okay, well, I'm sure they'll balance that out because they're getting a lot of feedback on it. And I took my time and didn't end up actually even finding a bear or getting to the Black Forest until after the public test had moved out and was onto the main branch of the game. And finally, after, I don't know, 30 or so, 40 or so in-game days, I decided, okay, it's time for me. I'll go kill Eikthyr now. I built myself a nice little town or nice little village set up. I built myself a little house. I actually spent tons of time on the house. That was probably where half the time was on the house. I built a kitchen, then built the house. I tore both of them down multiple times because I didn't like how they looked. Ultimately ended up, I think they turned out okay. I even made a spot for a forge area in the future so I could make that. And I said, okay, I'm going to go to the Black Forest because I want to see what's changed. I know there's bears there, and I want to see how tough are these bears. Now, up to that point, I had been scouting around the Black Forest, like on the edges of it, as I had been in the meadows, looking for burial chambers, looking for copper nodes so that I could mark them and eventually go back and harvest them. And I had not seen a bear. So I just assumed, I don't know, maybe these bears are super rare. Maybe they're not on the outskirts. Maybe they're only deep into the Black Forest. So then I decided, okay, I've killed Eikthyr. I need to go farm some copper and some tin so that I can make upgraded weapons, upgraded gear, and end up going to fight the Elder and, move through the game to the rest of the subsequent biomes. So the first time I ran into a bear, I got to the bear. I noticed there was a troll near it. The bear was fighting a skeleton and just literally destroyed a 2-star skeleton, which is another little side tangent. The number of 1-star and 2-star mobs I ran into on this new save was mind-blowing. I don't ever remember seeing a 1 or 2-star mob in the general vicinity of where you start the game. So I'm not sure if they changed that. But this bear obliterated a 2-star skeleton and took almost no damage from it. So I was like, okay, this thing must be tough. So I found a troll, and I was like, I'll get the troll to fight the bear, and whoever wins, I'll just take out the one that wins, because surely they'll be low health. And long story short, I led them together. They didn't fight each other. They both chased me. I ended up getting stuck on something and dying. So then I was like, all right, I'll go back and get my stuff. And I was like, man, I clearly am not strong enough to fight a bear right now, because they hit like a tank. I did end up trying to block it. I did parry it, and it just literally parried through my shield and took like a third of my health, or half my health, and stunned me. And when I hit it with my weapon, I was like, this is doing no damage. So I was like, all right, I'll regroup. I'll go get some copper somewhere else, and then I will go take on a bear. So I went and found a couple other copper nodes, and every single one I went to, every one of these copper nodes I found and went to, there was a bear. So I finally was like, okay, I got to kill a bear. And I was like, the only way I'm going to be able to kill this thing is by using ranged weapons. And of course, it is like super resistant to arrows. I got lucky and got one stuck inside of a little building and was able to chip its health down pretty far. I was streaming this at the time as well. Someone said, just pull out a torch. They're afraid of fire, which I didn't even think of because I don't know why. So I pull out the torch. The bear's not fighting me, but I'm literally chasing it around, hitting it with my flint axe and my flint spear, doing almost 0 damage to it. Finally kill it. I'm like, okay, everything's great. I'll go back and repair my stuff. I'll come back the next day and I will harvest my copper. Run back home, come back over the next day, and they're staring at me, not only as a bear, but a troll. And at that point, I just said, you know what? I can't do this. I'm done. I walked back to my house. I turned off the game. I literally just ended my stream and was like, sorry guys, I just can't play this right now. And that's where I am today. That's Valheim in 2025. In 2021, it was a masterpiece that was, like I said, a game I would recommend to anyone. My favorite survival game up to that point, the best survival game. Everything was just great about it. Lots of features from it have been copied in other games, which is awesome. Specifically, like the food buff, where eating food, you won't die from starvation. It'll just give you buffs to health or stamina or magic. That system is just great, and I'm glad everybody took it from it. But now in 2025, Valheim has gone from a game that had fantastic progression from start to finish to I'm hitting a roadblock in the second biome. And my concern is, if they put this enemy in the second biome, and they didn't listen to the feedback from the public test where people were saying the bear is too strong, what's going to happen in the other biomes? Are they going to add something else to the swamp? We already had the abomination. Are they going to add some other creature there that's going to be crazy, do crazy damage and be hard to kill? Are they going to add something? There's already stone golems in the mountains. Are they going to add something else crazy there? There's already berserkers or the big troll looking guys, plus the blocks that do tons of damage. They're going to add something even bigger than that in the plains, and so on and so forth. And I just don't understand the direction the game's gone from launch. It almost feels like one team built the launch product of the game, and then a totally different team, completely separate, has had no communication with the other team, has done almost everything afterwards. The minor updates have been fine. Adding the Bog Witch, Hilder, the Hearth and Home, those all felt like good updates. Here's some NPCs, they have some quests, add some new items, overhaul to the cooking system, like adding some new dungeons and stuff like that. That all felt cool. But the two major updates and then this most recent update with adding the bear just leaves me concerned of what's going to happen with the Deep North update when that happens, which should be hopefully sometime in 2026. Will I still be able to recommend the game to people? Will I even finish the game? I struggle through the Mistlands not having fun. I've heard the Ashlands is equally or worse, depending on your opinion, than the Mistlands. Is the Deep North going to be even more of a struggle? How many new people are going to play the game, have a fantastic experience in the meadows, and as soon as they go to the Black Forest, get ganked by a bear and a troll, one or the other or both, and just get in the endless cycle of running back to get their bag, going to repair everything, running back to get their bag, going to repair everything? Because that's why I quit. I was like, I literally cannot get copper without getting ganked by a bunch of mobs. And I'm perfectly fine with having rage dwarves and occasional troll come by. But now there seems like there's bears everywhere for some reason. And I don't know why. When I went looking for them, I couldn't find them. And now when I don't want to see them, they're everywhere. And they're so strong. And maybe it's just a skill issue. I don't know. But all I know is if I was able to upgrade my gear, I feel like I would be able to take them on and it'd be fine. I saw other people suggest, instead of having the bear in the Black Forest, why not just have a polar bear in the Deep North? They could even do bears, I guess polar bears in the mountains, but the Deep North would make more sense because it would be like up in the like Arctic area, right? And I 100% agree with that. So I guess I'll just leave this with, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the future of Valheim. I definitely want to finish the game at least one time, but I'd really like to know what any of you think. If you played Valheim at launch, if you've been playing it all along, if you just came back to the game, or if you just started the game, I'd like to get everyone's opinion on like what the game feels like right now, especially if you've made it to the Black Forest and tried to fight a bear. Am I doing something wrong? I don't know. I have almost 600 hours in the game. I feel like I know pretty much everything there is to know about the game, but it just feels like I've hit a roadblock. And right now, I just don't want to play the game anymore, which is a shame because I wanted to see the Ashlands so that I was prepared when the Deep North came out. But for me right now, I'm just going to kind of put the game aside, wait till the Deep North comes out, and hope that in between now and then, they do another pass on balancing all the way through the game and do something with this bear in the Black Forest, and then look at the Mistlands and the Ashlands. I've seen people say, just get rid of the Mistlands and redo the whole thing over again. And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be opposed to that, because that one biome just feels so out of place. I don't know. But anyway, those are my thoughts on Valheim in 2025. If you play through the first 5 biomes, minus the bears, it's still the best experience, I would say. If you can overcome the bears, you'll be fine at least through the plains, which will get you about 100 hours or so. So you'll get your money's worth. But after that, I don't know. It's kind of, I guess, 50-50. Some people love it, some people hate it. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you found the video interesting, make sure to hit the like button. Consider subscribing for more content just like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.